But you mentioned Yasser Qadi. So let's address this guy because his investment portfolio that he has access to is $150 million.
That's not even his money. It's not
Yeah.
money. You know, where's the flex? You borrowed money. You're in debt now.
Yeah.
If you don't come at 9 a.m., we're gonna shoot your mum.
This hell with all the fire that burns 69, 70 times hotter than that fire on earth that melts your skin. This is not even for you. This is for what? This is for kuffar. But if you do this one act, I'll throw you in there.
Even there's a guy watching this or there's a sister watching this right now. Despite everything we've mentioned, it's still there like, but, and you're there worrying what's gonna happen to me if I don't get the degree. You don't need an M3 competition.
Are you sure?
Yes. Like, bro, you can go buy an Astra for like £2,000-3,000.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, before we dive into today's discussion, I just wanted to express my deep remorse and regret for a story that I told inaccurately in one of the previous episodes. The story was about a brother not being happy with women being present in Islamic study classes where a male teacher is teaching, but being okay with women on his business for financial reasons. Now, the fact of the matter is that after speaking with the brother, it became clear to me that the brother was joking when he said that, and it wasn't honest. It was satire, perhaps a bit of sarcasm, and as we know that when someone's speaking in a jokey way, it's not a reflection of what they truly believe. So me having communicated and narrating that story as if it was something that he believed was something that was inaccurate. Now I've apologized to him and expressed my remorse to him, and I'd like to do the same to you guys, inshallah ta'ala. I wanted to make that clarification before we jump into today's podcast. We've got a fantastic and really important discussion lined up, so without any further ado, let's start. Assalamu alaikum.
But I feel like not enough people really understand, number one, what is riba? And number two, why is it so bad? So on the topic of what riba is, you can add to this as well if you want, inshallah, but from my side, there's two main ways of doing riba. One of them is to loan money to someone. Say, for example, I'll give you £100 Imran. I say, when you pay it back, I want £110 in return. That's usually what things like
Interest.
That's usually what banks, although it's not always interest. You could technically have an interest. That's not haram. But majority of the ones we see today,
I've never seen it.
Where it's meant, yeah,
I've never seen
it's more of a theoretical application rather than a practical application. And the other one is that if you miss a payment, say for example, you need to pay me at this time. If you pay on time, you get the normal money. You have to pay back £100. But if you miss a payment, you have to pay back more. Are there any other forms of
Just
riba
to
that you're aware
come,
of?
it took me even a while to wrap around my head why that one was riba, late payment fees. And you actually understood that before me.
Because that's something that I did a deep dive into because I really wanted to get some stuff.
It's actually interesting because I
You
remember...
remember that period of time?
I actually remember, like many people may not be aware, but your journey into our team, like one of the biggest things that the beginnings of your journey is connected to is the issue of riba because of the whole student loan thing, right? So I guess that was something that you were very... That's, you know, everyone, there's certain sins that we feel more like
Passionate
about, right? Maybe because we saw the effects of it in a certain way. Like Ustad Ma'awiyah Taka is very, very anti-riba. That's why he really pushes for Bitcoin, because that's a way to kind of just completely be outside of this riba system, right? But point being is that, you looked into it quite a lot. So for people that might be confused on late payment fee thing, so if you owe someone a payment, a phone provider or whatever have you, right? Car, late payment fee, a car that you're paying off, you know, what do they call it? Lease. And you miss a payment, you now owe him money. For him to charge you a fee because of the late payment, really what he's charging you is a fee for the debt that you owe him.
And not paying that back on time.
And not paying that on time.
Which you only did, or majority of people only do because of duress. Because they don't have the money. They're just taking advantage of a person who's in a weak state, in a vulnerable state. And that's what Islam is obviously against. Now, someone might be watching that, what you just said. I didn't want to mention, name drop straight away because, straight away that's going to ruffle some feathers. But wait, what? Phone contract? Wait, rent? Oh, I thought rent was okay because I'm not getting a mortgage. Are you telling me even rent is haram, has got a riba in there? Are you telling me that I didn't get my car on finance? I wanted to get on a lease. I thought that was halal. There's no interest. Are you telling me that's haram as well? Phone contracts? Like every single contract, or almost every single contract in the West, or even around the world, has this late payment fee.
Yeah, I would extend it so far as I usually get fishy if there's any kind of like finance deal where it's like, I'm paying something off over time, or it's something that I don't have the money for up front. So there's like a system involved for me to pay. Usually in situations like that, there's a bit late payment fee. Yeah,
there's a late payment fee.
Yeah.
So, just for the record, walillah alhamdulillah, I think we all rent, right? I don't have no late payment fees in my contract, neither do you. Likewise, right? We all, where there's a will, there's a way. There's always a will, there's a way. And I guess maybe we could talk about some of the alternatives later, inshallah. But you mentioned Yasir Qadi. So let's address this guy, because one of the reasons why people have started to be very lackadaisical because of riba is honestly because of what? Because of these personalities in the Islamic scene. People look at us scholars who look at them to, please pass the fatwa, Sheikh, tell me, is this allowed, is this not allowed? And they tell you, no, student loan. For example, we've had that person in the UK whose name I won't mention because he's not that known anymore. I don't want to give him any more publicity than he needs, but saying student loans are halal. Now, he said that many years ago, but the echoes of that are still existent today. Then you have this individual who started to say credit cards, which is riba.
This one really shocked me. Like, I actually felt sick to my stomach when I actually watched the video. I don't know if you guys have seen the
I
video.
haven't seen it. This sounds shocking. Somebody said credit cards are permissible.
It's from a few years ago. And it was during the whole time. You know, when I was trying to get the Volvo V40, it was a little hatchback. And on a lease, I found an 18-month lease. And then I came across the contract and I saw that was in there. And it was a big thing for me because I had always been refused credit, like for anything, because I had a car crash when I was younger. And it's a long story, but basically I got a county court judgment against my name. My credit score was done out. Like, even to try and get a phone contract, I would struggle. So when I applied for this lease,
struggle for a SIM?
For a SIM, bro.
No way, SIM only.
Even I couldn't get one.
You couldn't get a SIM?
You couldn't get SIM?
You couldn't get a SIMO
in my own personal name. No.
Wow.
Because it's county court judgment.
CCJ.
That's
so.
Peak. I'm sorry.
So I was looking at, and Qadrullah, this one, I don't know, they just accepted me. In my mind, it's a lease, not a finance deal. I'm not buying the car, therefore there's no, like in my mind at the time I knew there was no like blatant obvious like interest.
Yeah.
Riba. And then I found the late payment fee. And I remember when we studied riba, we went through this and I was like, wait, that's haram. And I actually reached out to them, say, look, I can understand this is, what if I pay like more of a deposit up front? They said, how much? Like 3 months. Let me get back. No. 6 months. No. I didn't even have the money. But let me just ask them. I said, what if I pay up the whole 18 months up front in one go and give you all the money? That way there's no chance of a late payment fee because there won't be any more future payments. They said, no. I was baffed. Like, I remember I was asking some groups, and one brother who actually worked in the finance industry, he mentioned to me, I didn't understand it. Till now I don't understand it. But he said somehow like they actually make money. Like, even though you pay them the same amount, they'll generate money. Like, money is created somehow in the system when you take finance. Even if you say I'll pay it all up front, they won't take that from you. Because they'll somehow make more money from your monthly payments.
It's really B2B deals that they have with their
they
finance.
probably sell that loan to another bank and this and that one. I don't know. It was all long. So anyway, I started researching from the Islamic side. Like, not astaghfirullah, surely there's a way. But you know what that was when you really want something.
Maybe there's a way.
You're thinking maybe there's a way. Anyway, so I came across this video, Yasir Qadi, and there's a Q&A video. Someone asked him. And it's funny, just from the get-go, it just felt wrong. So the way he started it off was, people, one thing, guys, we have to have in our minds, people have this thing, everything is black and white. There's many gray areas in the religion, and, don't be so close-minded that just because majority of people are saying that this is the view, or people you hear, that, be open, listen to authorities. In the video, he's talking about himself, listen to authorities. And no, it is. I mean, he himself sees himself as an authority, and he's giving a response. He's basically just setting the platform like, don't shut me down straight away. I'm about to say something that's going to go against what you guys have heard.
He's like, hear me out.
But just hear me out. Hear me out. Listen, don't be sheep. Be ready to explore, to innovate, yeah? Then he mentions the issue of, people ask about credit cards, and he starts off strong base. Riba is haram. No doubt about that. No scholar has ever questioned that. Riba itself is haram. However, there are things that are more haram. Within the harams, there are more haram and less haram. So for example, if you're walking in the desert and you're dying from hunger, and there's a dead cow or a pig or a dead pig, eating a dead cow, even though they're both haram, would be the one you do in that situation because it's less haram. Okay. Where's he going with this? Also, by the way, just to let you guys know, a lot of things when it comes to riba, people exaggerate it. Or not exaggerate it, rather, I don't want to misconstrue what he said. He said there are many narrations out there that people mention to enforce the severity of riba that are weak. And he mentioned that from them, for example. I think it was like there's like 70 parts of riba, and the smallest is worse than committing zina with your own mum. He mentioned this is weak, and even because this is something that even the aql it rejects. So this goes against even the aql if you were to look at it. And then he gets into it. He said, look, we have this principle in the religion, things that when it comes to necessity and need and so on and so forth, things can become permissible. So he said, if, for example, you getting a credit card, is going to make and also he distinguished between the one who gives the loan, wanting riba back, and the one who takes the loan, paying the riba to the other person.
The Prophet he cursed both.
The
The hadith cursed both. The Prophet anyway, the Prophet didn't differentiate.
So he said, look, there's a difference between the two. And what we're talking about here is the one who's taking the loan. Because as a credit card guy, you're the one taking the loan, you're going to pay back with more interest riba. Because look, he goes, in certain situations, certain people, you might have, for example, he goes, me, I travel a lot. So certain, to get a car rental without a credit card can be very difficult. To get a hotel without a credit card can be very difficult. And it makes your life a lot easier. Because look, some people, they don't need it. You live your life simple, clear, everything's easy, you just pay your bills on time, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But some people travel a lot and this and that, whatnot. For them, it's a need, it's a haja. And he said, bro, he mentioned this scholar authority, this scholar committee, this scholar, they've all said that it's permissible in this situation to get a credit card. And that blew my mind. Because in my mind, it was like, bro, this thing is different. Like you can't, like to get to a point where you can say that this has now become permissible because of a need or a necessity. Like, it has to be high. If man say, no, I can't get into a hotel. Like, I have to do it. Like,
Can't rent a car.
I can't rent a car from this because I've had that as well. When I've gone to
some
rent a car,
comes,
they won't take my
for a
deposit.
credit card block.
Or they'll say, look, if it's 1,500 dirhams, if you use a credit card, if you don't have a credit card, okay, we're going to take 3,000 from you. Yeah, it's hard. I can't lie. Yeah, I mean, I have to pay more than the random guy with the credit card. But is it still possible?
It's possible.
Course. Yeah. Are there some companies that will give it to you no matter what? Of course. Are there hotels that, of course, book an Airbnb if you, as in, there's options. But for him to turn around and say, look, and one thing he mentioned, he said, look, I'm not giving a green light, I'm giving a yellow light. If you need it, you need it. If you don't need it, don't get it. And also, don't fall into the traps of credit cards where, because they dangle credit in front of you. By the way, do you want extra 10,000? Spend it and then we'll give it back to you. And that's how people fall into a thing. He mentioned a few disclaimers and
when
whatnot.
you open the door like that, what do you think?
Me looking at it, bro, I felt disgusted. I felt sick. I actually felt I felt hatred towards the fatwa. And I felt hatred towards him as an individual because of this. I don't know if that's...
No, like some people might take that
I actually felt...
Well, I'll tell you,
disgusted.
Well, let me ask you a question. If for the viewers who think that Abu Bakr is maybe being a little bit
OTT,
I thought it was a bit predatory.
So I'm just saying, if you had a scorpion on your back, if you had a scorpion on your back, and Abu Bakr saw the scorpion on your back and it was going to sting you, and he just decided to not tell you, how would you feel towards him? Would you not hate him? Okay, let's just say you were walking, not just you, your whole family, your kids, husband, wife, parents, walking into a pit of fire. And Abu Bakr or me or Sa'ad or Abbas or the ulama, the scholars, they saw the people that you look to, and their job is to stand here and tell you there's a pit which has fire in it. But they just tell you, it's just, you need to take this road. Just dip into it. Yeah. You would hate that person.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just want to share with you some textual evidences to show you how bad riba is. And I feel like we hear about riba, and we don't really realize how criminal this is. Imam Malik rahimahullah said, I look through the Quran beginning to end and I try to find what is the thing that is the worst thing that a person consumes. Because riba, Allah talks about eating it, right? Or is it alcohol, or is it pig, or what's the dead bodies? He said, what's the worst? He said, I looked through the Quran and I came to the conclusion the worst thing and the thing that Allah threatens you the most with eating is riba. And just give people some examples. One of the scariest ayat of the Quran, scholars discuss what is the scariest ayat in the Quran. Some of them says the answer to Naba, where Allah Azza wa Jalla said that we're not going to increase the people in hell anything except more punishment. So the only thing that's going to go up, and it's going to go up all the time, it's going to go up just for infinity, is punishment. So some of the scholars said that's the scariest ayah in the Quran. Other scholars said no, it's an ayah of riba in Surah Ali Imran, where Allah said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, Allah speaking to the believers. Allah said, La ta'kulu riba ad'afa mudha'afa. Don't eat riba. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ fear Allah لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ, so that you could be successful. Pay attention. Allah is saying success comes in not taking riba. If you take riba because you think, because of riba I'm going to get this mortgage, because of riba I'm going to get this car, I'm going to get this lease, you're getting this degree. It's because you want some kind of success, right? Allah is saying لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Don't do riba, but do the opposite, which is fear Allah, so that you can be successful. Then Allah said, اتَّقُوا النَّارِ, fear the fire. أُعِدَّتْ لِلْكَافِرِينَ, the one that's prepared for the disbelievers. Some of the scholars said this is the scariest ayah in the Quran. You know why? Because Allah threatened the believers with what is not even for them. I.e., Allah prepared hell for the kuffar. It's not even for the believers. The believers is for what? Jannah. Allah is saying
And
to you,
that started with the believers. Yeah,
right, it's for the believers, right?
Yeah.
So Allah is saying, oh believers, this is not even for you.
Yeah.
This hell with all the fire that burns 69, 70 times hotter than that fire on earth, right? That melts your skin. This is not even for you. This is for what? This is for kuffar. But if you do this one act, I'll throw you in there. If you do this one act of riba, if you do this, you're going to be thrown into hell.
Listen, I'm curious. You can just cut this out if you want to. But did certain people take from that riba is kufr?
No one took riba as kufr.
Okay, sure.
No one took riba as kufr. This is a good question, Allah. Very good question. Because the Khawarij are the ones who do takfir based on major sins.
Yeah, of course.
But there are some sins that the scholars discussed. Do you stay in hellfire for eternity? And one of the things that the scholars did discuss, do you stay in hellfire for eternity, is riba. Also murdering a Muslim. And the evidence that the scholars used to say that you are in hellfire for eternity, when Allah Azza wa Jalla says الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. The ones who say riba is halal, who were allowed to do riba, Allah says فمن جاءه موعظة من ربي فانتهى فله ما سلف أمره إلى الله ومن عاد فأولئك أصحاب النار. They're the people of the hellfire هم فيها خالدون. They're going to be there for eternity.
Yeah,
so some of the scholars actually said because of riba you're never coming out. Now other scholars, right, and scholars Ahlul Sunnah debated this. So remember, we don't say that a person who does major sins is a kafir unless his major sin takes him to what? He falls into kufr. But there are some sins where Allah is so severe, like for example the issue of suicide. Like scholars discuss, does that mean you're in hellfire for eternity now? If you kill a Muslim, riba, because it's ayah, hum fiha khalidun, they're never coming out. Strongest view is that no. This is if you do riba and kufr. Or if you do something called istihlal.
Where you make the halal what Allah makes haram.
So saying riba is haram. But I did it because I'm weak. You're a major sinner. You're at war with Allah. But you're not a kafir. But if you do something called istihlal, where you say, no, riba is halal. Actually.
That's even if you don't take it.
Even if you don't take it. If you say it's halal. Even if you don't take it, you say, come on man, it's not that deep, it's halal.
21st century.
21st century, you're allowed to. Then that person has left Islam. So I'm saying these are things that show. So also another thing that shows how bad riba is, the ayah just mentioned الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا. Allah said that on the day of judgment, the ones who do riba are going to come out their graves like they're possessed by the devil. Pay attention. People come out their graves on the day of judgment, they come out quickly. These guys don't come out quickly. They come out like as if, how does a person who's possessed move? Shaking all over, confused, frantically, and they don't move fast. As in, they come out slowly. Like paint. Look at the picture Allah's painting. But look, riba is
moaning. They're in pain.
They're just confused. Majnoon, majaneen, insane, right? So like a possessed person is going crazy. It's insane. So you're coming out of your grave like that. And I want you to see, they show you, riba is not like backbiting, even though backbiting is severe. And you become bankrupt on the day of judgment. You can become bankrupt of all your good deeds on the day of judgment because of backbiting. Allah is singling you out. Like riba, Imam Malik said, this is worse, this is different to the other things that you might consume. So you're coming out of your grave as if you've been possessed by the devil. So some of the scholars say, why? It's because riba is something you eat, innit? You eat, but you consume it because you go, you buy food.
That money you're going to use is going to feed it to your family, feed it to yourself.
Feed it to your family, feed it to yourself. So it's very heavy in your tummy, in your belly. So on the day of judgment, what happens? Also because riba actually means to grow. Riba means to grow. And it's called riba because you grow your wealth unjustly, but it's also called riba because in your belly, what you're eating, this adab is growing.
Even they call it compound interest.
So imagine it's just growing. And also another fa'idah that Imam Sa'di rahmallah mentioned, which blew my mind. He said that why is it that they come out like they've been possessed by the devil? Allah said because they said ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا. They said that, riba is just a transaction. It's just selling. It's business. It's not really that deep. Allah said, وَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah made transactions halal, but He made riba haram. So this is something so clear. It's something that is so clear that it is ludicrous. It is insanity to say it's permissible. That's why on the day of judgment, you'll be punished the way you behaved. You behave like an insane. And like Allah said, brothers, sisters who are watching, riba is haram. To say otherwise is insanity.
Yeah.
So insane that the punishment for the person will be that he will come out of his grave like an insane man.
Not only that, there's that ayah which you have mentioned, which for me was like, when I read this, I was like, when it came to student loan, even though I had so much family pressure from people saying, look, you're you're an A-star student, this, that, whatnot, go to uni. The issue of, bro, anyone who takes out riba, you're declaring war against Allah. You're going to have to fight against Allah. Like it's the only sin that's been mentioned in the Quran in the context of waging war against Allah. Like, as Muslims, we talk about war a lot. We say, oh, look, we're doing war against the unseen, the jinn, and we're doing ruqyah and so on and so forth.
I don't know if it's the only one. In Surah Al-Ma'idah,
it's mentioned that
I'm not sure, but I don't know if it's the only one.
as far as I'm aware, as far as I'm aware, I might be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, it's the only one that's mentioned. You're doing war. You're waging war against Allah. Like, not against the jinn, against shayateen, not against your own nafs, which we're told to do, and this and that. You're waging war against Allah. Like, what hope do you have? How can you, like, you live and breathe, you wake up in the morning because of Allah. You got the food on your table because of Allah. You got the roof over your head because of Allah. You got your parents, your family, your children, your life. You have everything because of Allah. And then you're going to go and you're going to wage war against Him? For what?
Yeah.
Because you wanted to get some capital to start up a business?
I wanted an
Because you
M4.
wanted to
I wanted an M4.
get a uni loan so that you could go and study business or mechanics or whatever it is. You wanted to get a credit card so you can get a few business class seats and travel, and really? Does not make sense.
Yeah, well,
You know what shocks me about that one though is that usually when people try to blur the lines between the haram and the halal is they'll try and not apply the hukm to this thing. They'll be like, look, this isn't really riba, right? But credit card is probably one of the purest forms of riba that exists, aside from like giving a loan and saying you have to pay me back extra. Apart from that,
That is what a credit card is.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's just in the form of a card.
It's like
It's a loan.
abstracted away, which is like, you pay me every month and maybe you don't have to pay the riba, and it's just one step away. But it's one of the purest forms. I'm gonna give you money, £500, £1,000, £2,000, and if you don't pay me back by the end of the month, on the first day extra, I'm gonna charge you 3% interest or 5%, whatever it is. It's like, bro, there's not even like, there's no space left. It's like there's no breathing room on this one.
What about people who say, Saad, that if I pay it off on time, it's calm? Like, as long as I pay it off on time, I haven't actually accrued any interest, any riba, therefore it's fine, right? I can take credit card, I can pay it off on time, I'm sensible, I'm smart, I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall the hadith properly, but I do remember that Al-Imam al-Dhahabi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he has a book called Al-Kabair, which is major sins. And in there he brings a narration, I don't know if you remember the narration, where he mentions that even the person that has a contract in riba, like you sign a contract where riba is involved, even if you never pay it, even if you never touch it, you're still going to be part of that sin. You still take in.
As in, like, even if you don't engage in the transaction, like
even if you don't engage in
like, let's say me and Abu Bakr,
You're a
we
guarantor.
buy and sell. Oh, okay, yeah, that's an example. Yeah, I was saying,
The
like,
hadith just mentioned the Prophet said, لعن رسول الله رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لعن آكل الربا وموكله وكاتبه وشاهديه.
Yeah.
The Prophet ﷺ, he cursed the one who eats riba, i.e. the one who takes it, the one who gives it,
Yeah.
the one who writes the contract down.
Yeah.
Okay, the one who witnesses, the two guys who are witnessing the contract as well. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Hum siwa," they are all the same. Hadith Sahih Muslim.
So even the guy who takes it, who gives it, and the guy who writes it down. So even if you're saying, look, I don't plan ever to do it and whatnot, but number one, there's a chance you might. You can't predict what the future holds. You may go bankrupt.
No, but you're
may lose your
agreeing
job.
in the contract.
But in the contract, you're agreeing.
I will give you riba if I don't
this
pay.
happens, I will give you riba. It's like saying, imagine signing a contract in which you said, look, and you say, look, if you say, look, come to work at 9 a.m. and you've never missed a day at 9 a.m. ever at work, but someone said, if you don't come at 9 a.m., we're going to shoot your mum. Would you ever sign that contract? No, you wouldn't.
yeah, that's a good point.
So I think what the issue really is I feel like people just don't understand the severity of riba. And why is that though? Why is it that people, because one thing I've noticed, whenever we do a video on riba, people get so butthurt in the comments. People get so
Yeah, because
sensitive.
bro, you'll be
people are
surprised.
so
Wallah, you'll be
defensive.
surprised.
When
You'll be
you talk about
so
zina,
shocked.
people
Yeah.
don't defend it. When you talk about, smoking, people don't defend it. When you talk about riba, People.
No, you know why? It's because they build their whole life up towards it. Like, I'm gonna get this car and I'm gonna get this house and I'm gonna go on these holidays and I'm gonna go with my wife in this business class or whatever. Like that, it's a part of their status in the
Where
community.
does that come from?
Do you get it? Like, you have the big house on the hill with the driveway and the back garden and the swimming pool, and then somebody's gonna ask you, look, like, no offense, how did you afford this house? And he's like, bro, I got a mortgage. Do you see what I mean? Like, he has to find a way to defend that and champion that, and then get his other friends in that as well.
Even I was telling you when we were driving on the way here, like when I was going through obviously I've got the Musafir page where I post travel related stuff, and recently I myself only last year got into the whole, loyalty and elite status with Hilton and Marriott and Emirates and all these other airlines and so on and so forth. And as I was looking into it, I remember like just doing some research, checking out what do Muslims do, like how do you do it? There's so many Muslims like fully shamelessly just promoting credit cards, referrals, like do this
credit
one,
cards, you get crazy
you
points.
get points, like
Things that
even here.
we're on business class
Yeah.
with our hard-earned money,
money,
alhamdulillah. Them man,
These men out here
them man on
switching
business-
credit cards
yeah.
around. Yeah.
literally like people
When
take
he-
out
he-
5-6 credit cards.
When he told me this, I was actually thinking, raw.
Yeah.
The fact that everyone just writes business, I mean, everyone's just up nowadays.
And there's
He goes,
so
no,
many
it's
people.
just, they
It's
just,
a point game,
It's
innit?
a point
It's
game.
just-
There's so many
We're
people
actually, like,
that
alhamdulillah.
game the point game, and you could make your life in terms of travel and business amazing because of it. But at what cost?
Because if you just do it based on trying to earn the miles,
It's hard.
It's very
like,
hard.
For example, at Hilton, you have to stay 60 nights a year for Diamond, or just get this one credit card. One credit card, you get
No way, I
Diamond.
didn't know those
Yeah,
options,
Marriott,
yeah.
you go straight to Platinum.
Yeah.
With them, you get something like over
that's why I think that's why
100,000.
Hilton's diamond service
that's
is
what
not
I
as
was
good
gonna
as
say,
the Marriott one, because they're probably used to like bare diamond members.
I mean, that's why in the States, especially, like, 'cause I'm on these forums and stuff here, and I see, like, on the States, they say, bro, Hilton isn't worth anything. Like, sorry, Diamond isn't worth anything. Like, because there's so many, the hotel you're staying at,
I'm looking to
50%
leave
of
and go
people.
to Marriott anyway.
But even Marriott Platinum, you can get it with a credit card. You can't get titanium, but you can get platinum. But either way, the point that I'm making is, like, even with points, certain credit cards, bro, you get 150,000 miles of points.
Yeah.
Bro, we would have to stay at the Conrad 15, 16 nights. That's spend 15 to 2,000 pounds to get that many points to then spend on a thing. People just getting it
1,500.
easily. There's brothers that promote it and they do it and they say, you know what, if you want to do this, go on this credit card and this is my credit card strategy. And
You know what I just do want to mention to people is that Allah Azza wa Jal in Surah Tawbah, there's an ayah that when I come across it, that rage that you mentioned that you feel when you saw that video from Yasir Qadi. Wallahi, I honestly, whenever I come across it, I feel so upset. Allah said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, oh you who believe. Well, like, to me, like, I sense so much pain in this ayah from the perspective of the one who's reading it, understanding how real this ayah is and how the people are asking me, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, oh you who believe. إن كثيرا من الأحبار والرهبان إن كثيرا من الأحبار إن كثيرا من الأحبار والرهبان لا يأكلون أموال الناس بالباطل ويسدون عن سبيل الله. Allah said, oh you who believe, there are a lot of these so-called scholars and worshippers that have eaten the wealth of the people. They've just eaten the people's wealth. And then they've prevented them from the path of Allah. وَيَسُدُّونَهُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Like, Allah, like, to me, it's like Allah saying, this is too much. Oh, believers, be aware. Like, there are a lot of people that are claiming knowledge and they're claiming worship. And they have eaten the wealth of the people. And they've stopped them from the path of Allah. So, Allah Azza wa Jal did tell you, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Go and ask the people of knowledge. But are these people of knowledge? Like when you can see, one of the signs that I should not go to this person is when he keeps coming up with things that are anomalous. An anomaly. Like, if a sheikh mentions a fatwa which is an anomaly, like something which is, like, guys, sex sounds a bit different, so this is halal, this is in this situation, which generally would be haram, but today is halal because of the environment. Like,
excuse him. So
excuse him because there's a lot of new
he's a
things.
scholar at the end of the day.
There's a lot of new things that are occurring, right? A lot of few things that are coming. Maybe the full information didn't become clear to him. Like today I was just reading Ibn Arabi. So this, not the Maliki Imam, but the one who was the pantheist who used to believe that everything is Allah. He used to say the pig, the dog are all Allah. And we are Allah. And who do I worship?
It's kafir.
It's kafir, right? But some of the scholars did defend him, right? Like, for example, Imam Suyuti wrote a whole book defending him, right? تبيين للغبي على من كفر Imam Ibn Arabi, right? The clarification for the dim-witted one who does takfir on Ibn Arabi. And then Imam al-Bukhari refuted him, right? Saying,
people differ, like people have views
my point, this happens. This happens.
They're human.
And what we're going to say about Imam Suyuti, rahimahullah, is he made a mistake. Maybe the whole situation didn't come clear to him. Some of the scholars who defended Ibn Arabi, they mentioned that, this was kalam that was forged and it wasn't really from him. Clear-cut conclusion is that Ibn Arabi was not a Muslim, but there was some fringe amount of scholars who are Muslim, who are not from that worldview, who defended him, but they can be excused because of his mistake. My point is mistakes happen. But now, imagine like you just got anomaly after anomaly. The Quran is not preserved. Making dua to graves is not shirk. Ya'juj and Majuj. Well, he didn't say zombies. Kind of seemed like he was pushing that, and then.
The point he's saying is, I don't believe they're around today.
Clear hadith Sunnah Tirmidhi going against it. Then riba. I don't give you a green light, I give you a yellow light.
Scholars around the world don't know what they're doing.
Umar radiallahu anhu would have failed in the Aqidah test if it was given to him. Bro, things in the Sharia are barbaric. Like, this guy, okay, I'm saying, when you build a list now, shaking hands with women, sitting next to women, free mixing, and not necessarily him, others. Like, there's music's allowed. Stay away from these guys.
Yeah.
Guys, we know.
It's like, obviously what makes us
in
differ,
your heart this is wrong.
What makes us differ with people is usul, right? Like principles, things that are foundational. Sometimes you might not necessarily be able to see a person's foundational, but in their sub-branches, if there's just so many sub-branches that are it's an indication that, listen, even the principle is different. Like, and that's why you find, like, one of the things I was to mention is with a lot of these guys, it's what is the purpose? What's the reason why we're here? For many people, it's to flourish on the earth. It's not to worship Allah alone, and that's the primary focus. And you find, I feel like that's where this issue of
overindulgence.
That's where the issue of riba really.
Yeah. So you asked this question. I don't think we answered it. You said, why do people do it? So
why is it that they haven't comprehended the severity of riba?
What you have to understand is riba is connected to money, and money is one of the biggest temptations.
I don't fear poverty for my ummah. I fear wealth, that they'll become wealthy. Yeah.
The Prophet ﷺ actually said, a person's love for money, his love for accumulating money, he said, he compared it to two rabid, raging, hungry wolves. Ja'ani, wolves that are hungry, that got released onto sheep. How will those wolves destroy that sheep? I'm not talking about acquiring money being bad. No, we've been at the forefront of promoting brothers to become financially independent in ways that are not haram and whatever have you. But the goal can never be for the money in and within itself.
Yeah.
Not because money is in and within itself bad, but if that becomes your focus, then you have...
Yeah, you're chasing a ghost. You'll never catch it. Yeah.
If that becomes your why.
If that becomes your why, which is the next episode, right?
the next episode.
So
Tell them by law.
now, some people say act, but I'm not even a guy who's like chasing after. So I feel like it's not just that riba is connected to money. I think it's a bit deeper.
Yeah.
Riba is actually, in some ways, people have made it seem like it's connected to poverty. As in, let me explain to you so in people's minds, if I don't take riba, I will be
broke.
poor.
Yeah.
Because when we speak,
if I don't get this house, I'm gonna be homeless.
Exactly.
If I don't drive this car, I'm gonna have to walk.
Exactly. And it's never that extreme.
In fact, they're the ones that are making it black and white, then, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but there's an ayah in the Quran. And before we come to the practical applications of this,
and they're fully convinced themselves. Like, even there's a guy watching this or there's a sister watching this right now. Despite everything we've mentioned, they're still there. Like, but
it's not that deep.
Yeah, it's not that. But I need a degree.
Oh yeah.
But I need a house. Like, how can I pray without a house? If I don't have a roof over my head, I can't pray my salah.
That's what I'm saying. Look at Allah said, "Ash-shaytanu ya'idukum al-faqr." Allah says, "Shaytan, he threatens you with poverty. وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ." He threatens you with poverty and then he commands you to do filthy things. وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُمْ مَغْفِرَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allah promises you forgiveness and that he will give you fadl, virtue. So Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah said, he said, I went through the Quran, he said, I found about 90 times plus Allah promises you that he's going to provide for you. promises you.
Yeah.
And one time Allah says, Shaitan threatens you with poverty. He said, woe to you that you ignored the 99 promises from Allah that He will provide, and you believe the one threat of Shaitan.
Yeah.
It's so true, because there's so many opportunities out there to make money in a halal way. There's so many alternatives to uni. There's so many alternatives to mortgage. People are drilled as, people say the matrix. People are just stuck in the matrix. That's how they're programmed from a very young age. The parents drill it into them. The school system drills it into them. People around you drill it into you. It's just, you kind of do feel sorry for people. It's like, how?
No, I don't. But my point is, I feel sorry in some ways, but then I don't, because Allah 90 places told you. That's something Allah has told you 90 plus times. I provide. Like there's an ayah Allah said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took an oath in Surah Al-Dhariyat. وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. Allah said, in the sky is your rizq. Then Allah swore by Himself in the next ayah, إِنَّهُ لَحَقْ, that it is true. Like again, Imam Hassan al-Basri, he said, woe to the person. Allah swore by Himself that He would provide for you, still didn't believe Him.
Yeah.
And I feel like it comes down to a lack of iman to a degree.
Yeah,
like you don't
100%.
believe the word. Like Allah says in the Quran clearly, Allah does not burden a soul with more than it can bear.
Yeah.
He's telling you, you're not going to be burdened with more than you can bear. And you're there worrying, what's going to happen to me if I don't get a degree?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to me if I don't get a
No,
mortgage?
especially if you take the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're like, look, I'm not going to do this because it's haram, do you think Allah's not going to, at least cover you there?
Anyone who
Come
gives
on.
something up for the sake of Allah,
Yeah,
Allah will
Allah
place
provide you with
better.
something better, yeah.
Anyone who leaves something, Allah will make a way out for you from ways you never imagined. Like all of these are there. People just have this low iman. Like they just don't seem to.
There's no discipline. It's like, look, I need this now, and I'm gonna get it now, regardless of whichever way I'm gonna get it. And instead of like, that's what I'm saying. It's like usually when I'm confronted with something that might have riba in it, or late payment fees, or what payback, it's usually because I don't have the money right now. Do you get it?
But I can get
so
it.
there's an option.
You know what's also shocking is that the thing that you want to get a riba for, do you even necessarily need it?
Oh no, usually not.
That's
Usually
what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
I'm
these
not saying
are
for
all-
everyone in the
you
whole
have
world, but
four-bedroom
definitely for me,
house?
yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get rent though.
Yeah.
And or you can get 4-bedroom house on rent. But then it's like, but then I'm paying someone else's mortgage. Yes, but your transaction is not haram.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're paying someone else's mortgage, you give the money to them, your transaction between
And
them.
that's from the mercy
that's
of Allah.
halal.
And that, people try to look at things like that to make you contradict. No, but that's mercy from Allah. Like Allah said, you didn't transact in riba. In your transaction, there was no riba. If He transacted riba, that's someone else. So point being is that
After 30 years, I'm going to be left with nothing.
like I found that every single thing that I wanted to do, and then later on I found out there's a riba in there, for example, was not something I actually needed. And
It was always at the next step up.
And I'll tell you something
like
else. I found every single thing that I wanted that had riba in it,
got
that
it.
I didn't need,
You got
I
it
still
without
got
the
it
riba.
anyway without
Yeah,
riba.
yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
facts, same.
And this brings me on to my next point, which is وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدُ مِنَّا ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ ذُو الْفَضْلِ الْعَظِيمِ. Which brings me on to another point, which is that another problem is that I feel like we don't have enough examples of brothers who do stay away from riba that express their successes. And I feel like a lot of people like to hide things because of evil eye. They don't want to get evil eye, or they don't want to come across. Sometimes actually people hide their wealth, not even because of evil eye. They just want to come across more practicing. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Look at the level of riyah. Look at it. Like I actually clock like.
That's a bit of a flywheel, wasn't it, that one? Yeah.
Sometimes I would not wear my Gucci hat on a video because I'm like, bro, it's gonna look like.
Care about the dunya.
I'm trying to come across more zahid.
Yeah.
I'm wearing it because I like to wear the hat.
Yeah.
Now, if I give a lecture in a masjid, I won't wear it because I have respect for the way ilm is and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the intention is a big thing.
Yeah.
But point being is that we met a brother on a yacht a couple of weeks ago, and we had some of the brothers from the Brothers Club that came down for our high ticket training, where we trained them on like how to take their offers and businesses to a next level, right?
From 5 to 6 figures.
From 5 to 6 figures, yeah. So one of the things we did was we took them on a yacht. It's just a little experience, and we invited some of our friends.
We turned up on another boat.
Yeah, they came on another boat. Yeah, Allah very.
Linked us on the sea. It was
Yeah.
quite maybe we put the video up just to show like
it was like a link up on.
It's like a link up on the sea.
Nice.
On the sea.
Nice.
Literally on the car, it was like, I'll meet you at sea.
No way.
Allah very. So when we got there, the brothers that were with us. One of our friends, he brought a friend. He wanted to connect us and introduce us. And he's an investor. He's an angel investor.
Nice.
He invests in tech companies, right? So we were just talking, and he mentioned that he knows a billionaire. He said, I know a few billionaires, by the way. He said there's one particular billionaire that he met. He said to him, Wallahi, I did not make a single penny from haram.
This guy's a billionaire. So I can tell you, Allah, not a single riyal was from haram.
And one of the brothers kind of contested, like, you sure? And this is like rare. And he was like, no, I know a few.
There must have been some riba in there. There must have been some.
He's like, Wallah, I know
like,
the
no,
guy.
the guys.
He said, not just that, he goes, I know a few. Then not just that, that brother himself, who was a man, he had a beard. Allah barak, you could tell he was fit, he was healthy. Yeah, he's a diver as well, mashallah, may Allah bless him. I mean, he invested in Kareem. He worked on Kareem, and when they sold it to Uber, he was a shareholder, like he had stakes in the company, and Allah
wow,
barak,
that's
he's a big boy. Yeah, he's a big boy.
That's nice.
He's not a joke, man. So he was talking to us, and then he was like, his investment portfolio that he has access to is $150 million.
Wow, yeah.
Himself.
Nice.
And by the way, that's not his net worth. That's just the pool of investment that he has access to. And not just that, as I'm talking to him, remember, he's connected with me. He knows who I am. The brother who introduced us, obviously he's a practicing brother. He understands I'm practicing, this guy's practicing. So it's not like we're trying to link up to like money, dunya, men.
Yeah.
So as the conversation's talking, and we are talking about business, the brother kept saying, oh, by the way, you should check these brothers. They're very good practicing brothers. Check these brothers. They're very good. And he's talking about big like tech industry companies and CEOs and startups of big companies. But his crowd is all brothers that are practicing on their deen.
Yeah.
And he actually mentioned that, so on and so forth. But people are like, okay, cool, but he's got 150 million, maybe it's an anomaly. I'm saying, okay, let's take it down a notch. Let's come from 150 million all the way down. Let's take a big drop from 150 million to 100,000 pounds.
There's one thing I just want to mention about him, the issue of, because obviously as an investor...
Just mention it right after this. Okay, yeah, just so there's continuity. Because I'm trying to take people on a journey. I'm saying, if we take a big drop from 150 all the way down to 100,000 pounds, I'm saying, well, alhamdulillah, every business that we've run, from DBI to 5-Star Umrah to Sunnah Match to the Brothers Club, and not every business, sorry, but these businesses have all, as businesses, past 6 figures. Multiple times, right? Some of our businesses, we over 7 figures, right? Over 7 figures, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. Point being is that we didn't do no riba. And by the way, we did it whilst you were at uni, seeking knowledge, studying.
TFL.
Sorry, TFL, the time you were doing your thing. Then I'm saying it's not like we are people that have free time and can't do anything and whatnot. And bro, like, we all managed to do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And
honestly, I think I could have gone a lot harder.
A lot harder.
Yeah.
Does that make
I think
sense?
I could've gone a lot
And I
harder.
only mentioned that just so you can see that this guy, as in, if you want me to use myself as an example, my main thing is seeking knowledge and da'wah. Like, that's my main thing. Does that make sense? Like the business. Okay, there's times where I focus on it and maybe less time doing da'wah. There's times I'm doing more da'wah, less business. But the asl is, for me, that's my thing. So it's not even like I'm a fully fledged 100% 24/7 entrepreneur. Still managed to do it. Does that make sense? And I got wife, and I got kid, and I got family, and kada. So why can't you? And then I'm sure I don't need to give you examples of people who have a healthy living below 6 figures that didn't use it about. Like, I'm sure that I don't need to give examples of that. So if it can be done, it could be done.
Yeah, facts.
Allah provides.
Just one thing about the brother that I was going to mention, just to illustrate your point about him and who he is as a person. Obviously, as an investor, like, they have regular meetings with the companies that they invest in, and one of the things he mentioned, like at the board meetings when he's there, he'll pull up on the Muslim CEO, the Muslim board members, and he's asking general questions to everyone.
Whilst Kuffar present.
There's Kuffar present, there's Muslims present, asking about the KPIs for that quarter and how's your iman been for this quarter?
Nice.
Has that taken a dip? Have you? Maybe that's the reason why the business is struggling. Like, Kuffar,
that's sick.
There's Kuffar, and he's got the ability
to
drop that in a corporate meeting of the highest level. There's no meetings higher than that. And he's G-checking, man, on his iman. Like, and he's got that ability to do. And that's just something that Allah gave him. And alhamdulillah, he's a brother, he's a practicing brother, he fears Allah, stayed away from haram. And that's what Allah gave him.
Yeah, that's
It's like
sick.
you're here
Very.
falling into haram to please your manageress or your manager Stacy, whatever. Like, how does it? Like, it just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. And then you're trying to do all of these things which are haram. And so we've only got 10 minutes left. We've discussed about the issues a lot. So let's now come to what are some solutions. And before that, I actually want to talk about one thing that I believe is a reason for a lack of solutions, and that's the fact that because we've seen one thing, the Muslim market holds weight.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
Muslim market
Definitely, yeah.
holds weight. Like you can't ignore the Muslim market.
I mean,
right?
Nike started making hijabs.
Hijabs,
Yeah,
like
wow,
halal food.
that's
Like
actually-
look at,
Kafar invest in
That's
halal
the
food.
perfect
Like,
example.
look in the UK, like
Yeah.
KFC had to go halal. Like like so. Here's the thing though, right? When it comes to this riba and so on and so forth, because there's so many Muslims that are willing and ready to go into the haram, that demand is just never strong enough.
Yeah,
Like demand
that's what
for a halal alternative to student loans is not high enough. Why? Because so many Muslims
They'll
are
just do it anyway.
they're going the conventional route. They're going to do it anyway.
They'll just do it.
But because Muslims are going to university, that's why you're struggling to find an alternative. Because, bro, best believe if a university number started dropping and they knew that the reason for this is because Muslims are not taking student loans because they're haram and this, that, one, bro, they'll find a solution. And there's ways you can find solutions where, bro, you make the exact same amount of money in the exact same
I'm
amount
pretty
of
sure
ways.
Muslims are like 20% of university's income.
Allah
Maybe, yeah.
alam, whatever the
Something
number
like
is.
that, or 15. It's a
What-
significant
whatever
amount.
the number
Loads
is.
of Muslims at uni,
But
at every
bro,
uni as well.
First and foremost, bro, do you need to go to uni? That's a discussion that we should have. Separate. We recommend
We
going to uni.
should chat about
But
that
let's
another
say
day.
let's just say
Yeah,
you've decided for whatever reason, I don't know, you've been possessed and you decided you're going to go to uni. No problem. But bro, if you were to not go to uni and there was people would take a firm stand, bro, there would be halal alternatives. Like
Yeah.
one small example.
And quickly as well, they'll do it fast.
One small
Yeah.
example that we mentioned, for example, is the issue of late payment fees, right?
Yeah.
Literally, wallahi, if you were to just change it in one slight way, just the wording, the actual transaction stays exactly the same. You just change one little wording, it changes from haram to halal. It's that easy.
It's actually genius. What was I going to say?
And the way to do that is, say for example, if you pay it back on time, then you get a discount. So you're making an on-time discount rather
Yeah.
than a
Late
late
payment,
penalty
yeah,
fee.
yeah.
Just change it around.
Yeah.
Like if the car company will say to you, look, instead of your monthly car
See
payment,
that?
Yeah,
You see how simple it is?
well, the reason I like that is because the onus is not on the person to pay back on time. The onus is not on the company to charge you if you are late. Rather, the onus is on you, the person who's taking the money, to pay back on time, so you get a discount.
So you get a discount. And that's how, like, because someone asked a question to Mashaykh regarding the library, people return books late or something like that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned put late payment fee, but like the point is, there's so many ways, there's so many alternatives. Another one, for example, look, with mortgages, bro, stop coming with this silly kalam of I need to get a mortgage. You can rent, and if not, bro, and the same with a car. With a car, it's a bit easier. You can quite easily save up to buy a car that will suffice your needs.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't need an M3 competition, as you mentioned earlier. You don't need a
You sure?
C63. You don't
sure?
need a BMW 420i. You don't need a BMW or a Mercedes at all.
Are you sure?
Yes. Like, bro, you can go buy an Astra for like £2,000-3,000 that will get you from A to B. Yes, you won't look dope or whatever you want to call it. Yes, you won't look like a baller. Yes, you're not going to pick up girls, which you shouldn't be doing anyway because it's haram. Yes, all these things are not going to happen, but bro, live within your
Yeah.
means. Like, why are you trying so hard to fly business class, bro? Just sit in economy.
You know what's so shocking? Something
If you can't afford it, don't live it.
You know something that's so shocking that honestly, it's just dawned upon me recently. Like you guys know, maybe people don't know, but one of the things that I have, but you know, everyone's got their little.
But you do it with money you actually have.
No, but
Yeah.
even then, you know, everyone has their little temptations. For me, I can't lie. Like nice clothes, it's a bit of a fitna, right? Nice shoes. Okay, obviously now I wear thobe, so I'm just down to accessories, hats, shoes, whatever have you. And sometimes, like, you know, you might spend like £400-500 pair of shoes, like, you know what I'm saying?
But that's your own money.
But right. But I'm saying even recently it just dawned on me, because one of the reasons I did it, because I stopped it for years, and the reason I started doing it recently was because I was like, you know what, when I come to a business meeting, I want to make sure that when you look at my shoes, you can see I mean business.
Yeah.
Because if I sit across the table from a guy who's just got like, you know, some home slippers,
Yeah.
I'm not really gonna take him seriously as I would if he had a Rolex on his watch, right? Or on his wrist, sorry, without the gold. Like, Abbas.
No, we'll talk about that another time, inshallah.
But point being, is that one thing that just dawned on me recently is that I can't even use that as an excuse to justify. Because when I actually look at people that are rich and that are entrepreneurs, Muslim or non, Kafir or Muslim,
There's no flex.
they all just wear, like for example, that Diary of a CEO guy, right, who sold one of his companies for 500 million, $500 million. He's wearing black t-shirt all the time. Does that make sense? Like every don you look at, like some of these guys are like big money makers. Shorts, flip-flops, and a vest. Another
They
don.
don't care what other people think because they don't need to care. Bro, my bank account speaks for itself.
Right. Does that make sense? So my thing is that because I was having a conversation with my wife and I was like, so then is it just the broke people that are running after designer? As in, you got a whole industry of like really expensive clothes that's built on the desires of these.
I saw a quote once with something.
Like even the cars, they don't have to. I'm saying, I'm sure they have, but functional day to day, like not everyone's driving. A guy who got a Lambo not driving it every day.
There's a quote, you know, you get that inspirational quote. I saw once. It's something like, people spend money they don't have on clothes they can't afford to impress people whose opinion doesn't matter, or something. But it's just like, bro, it's just the whole thing is just ridiculous. But what makes it worse, as I said, with you, it's a bit different. You spend your own money. I'm saying, bro, I've seen videos. I've seen videos.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm just saying like for me, I'm trying to address the point I was trying to make was, bro, why do you even want it? Like even the guys who have got money turn away from it. Like they will then just shop like, oh, I can find good quality in Zara.
Like, bro, I'm talking about, bro, you see Muslim influencers, yeah? These up and coming new age influencers, they're buying things or whatever it might be, you know, whether it's a car on finance, whether it's a guy bought a Louis Vuitton, what's it called, rucksack, he's paying for it with an American Express credit card. And in the comments, it was like, bro, you made it.
Yeah,
you know,
he's paying with credit card.
Bro, I didn't realize you could put down that kind of money on a. Bro, it's not even his money. It's not
Yeah.
his money. You know, where's the flex? You borrowed money. You're in debt now for a bag.
Yeah.
Bro, well, that does not make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. Where's the flex in that? I just genuinely like people, and I feel like this is one of the big problems with social media, is that before people didn't like.
Who's the brother?
I don't want to mention the guy's name, but
I just feel like time about we just mention names person.
popped up. It's just one of these TikTok guys.
You know why? Because I feel like we should put people on blast now, innit? I feel like we should put pressure on people.
Cholo, why not?
I mean,
Hopefully someone can cut this clip up and send it to him.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. But even like the point that I was gonna make is that social media. Because one thing I can't remember if it was a video or what I was watching. It might have been Gary Vee or one of these other guys, and the point you're making was like 50, 60 years ago or however long ago, a person would have been happy to work in a bakery, like in the local village, working in a bakery. You'll get that same level of contentment that your life is happy because you didn't know what other people are doing. But now you're seeing people flying in private jets. You're seeing people going to the Maldives. You're seeing people going to Bali. People got a brand new apartment. People got this. It builds the urge and desire, the want. I want that too.
You know, shocking, Allah actually tells you, you know, in the Quran, there are 3 things you've got to lower your gaze from. One of them is from the opposite gender. One is from people's houses. And the third thing is from what people possess. As in, you should actually lower your gaze from what's in their hands. Because the same way looking at this woman who's haram for you will make you want to do zina with her. Looking at people's belongings and their money would make you want to
Go and get that.
even in a haram way.
Perhaps, yeah.
So yeah, we should lower your gaze, not just from the gal,
Yeah.
but also
Not just that, but
from the handbag.
It'll make
Lower your gaze from the handbag.
it'll make you ungrateful, innit? Yeah.
Very ungrateful.
Yeah.
And we got any final comments you want to mention, or should I wrap it up?
I just know that every time I've ever taken finance, it's because I was broke, and me taking finance was a sign, it was a signal of my brokenness, and I think that everybody should think about it like that as well. Like, you don't have the money. There's nothing wrong with that, huh?
We didn't do it, riba.
No, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. As in,
taking a loan,
any
a
situation,
halal loan.
as in, for example, before we spoke about late payment fees, it was obviously nothing that ever occurred to me. But
one thing,
situations like that, yeah,
yeah. Sorry.
Oh, as in before you knew about it.
yeah. But obviously, I don't think I have any contracts that are like that anymore. But I'm saying before, in situations like that, it was only because I just didn't have the money up front.
Yeah.
And
because and because you didn't know.
Yeah.
because you didn't know.
So like you, I look at it and I'm like, literally, the question is, where's the flex?
Where's the flex?
I don't feel flexed on right now.
And even one thing we didn't even mention, which I thought we should have mentioned, or maybe we did for another episode, is even if it's not haram and riba, bro, debt is still bad.
Yeah.
Don't get it. Still live within your means.
Oh,
Don't
that's
take
long.
a loan.
Yeah.
Even if you're getting a halal loan, avoid it if possible. Why you get a loan to a halal loan for a Louis Vuitton bag, or for a car, for this or for that? If you can avoid it, don't do it. Live within.
Bro, especially the long ones, like 30-year mortgage, bro. What you're in debt for 30
years.
30, bro. That's
And it's haram
that's
as
a
well.
prison sentence, bro. Like, what I want to do? 30 years, I have to pay back again and again to the same guy, and he's just there laughing, taking my money, bro.
And that's corrupting the whole system. Finance, well, that's a whole different episode.
Yeah,
Like
okay,
the
bro.
world financial system crashing balloon, blah blah blah. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there, inshallah. If you're watching this,
If I could just say one thing,
and
brothers,
you
just go out. Just go out there and make money in a halal way. I'm saying, talab al-rizq, you know, there's actually a hadith that the one seeking a rizq is a mujahid fi sabilillah.
Yeah.
He's a person doing jihad in the path of Allah, the one who's actually going out there trying to earn business halal.
Yeah.
So just go out there and do it. And wallah, it's not even that hard. I tell you.
Oh, you know what I was gonna say? Sorry, I was thinking about this. The guys that shock me, or it's frightening for me personally, is guys who get cars or other vehicles on finance. Because what if you die? As in, like, what if you're driving the car and for the simple reason that you've got this on finance, you're gonna get into a car crash now? That actually, it was a big fear of mine. I remember before I had a car and I didn't even have a license. I wanted to get a motorbike on finance, and basically I don't know about every single page, but almost every single, but as you probably saw, every single motorbike listing on Auto Trader has a little Zuto finance option, right? And I also had terrible credit, so I was like, yeah, I can take this, 2 racks, and I'll just, slowly pay it off. But then I was like, yeah, I don't really want to die with this bike, though, innit? I don't want to accidentally make the one wrong turn on a slick road, and that's it. It's all over. Do you see what I mean?
To just increase the fear on
do
that.
need to wrap it up, yeah.
Yeah, just to amplify the fear on that for the people.
Yeah.
Like Allah Azza wa Jal actually told you, stay away from riba so that you could be successful.
Yeah.
Like going into riba is the opposite of success, which is failure. And Allah Azza wa Jal actually said, يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى. Allah is destroying riba. It's being destroyed.
Yeah.
وَيُرْبِ الصَّدَقَاتِ. So if you're taking riba, the barakah has been taken and you're set up for destruction and failure.
Yeah.
And wallahi, if we can end this, I never in my life saw a person who took riba and calamities and problems didn't come into his life. I've seen it. I've seen it. The moment a person took riba.
And they might not be connected to the riba. It might not be that your house is giving you problems, you need to refurbish and there's leaks. No, it could be that people in your family are getting sick. It could be people in your family are getting ill. It could be a multiplicity of things.
100%. And just to give you one example, there was a couple that I knew that got married. They were newlywed, and the husband took her riba, and I advised them not to, and they got divorced a few months after.
Wow.
Yeah.
Long.
So listen, my brother,
That's
my
a long
sister,
day.
to conclude, if you're watching this episode and you've got a credit card, you've got a student loan, you're currently at university on a student loan, or you've got a mortgage, number one, find a way to get out of it as soon as possible. Cut up that credit card, close it down, do whatever you have to do. If you need to leave uni and work to make the money to continue your studies, you do what you got to do. If you need to start working part-time to pay it off as soon as possible, you do whatever you have to do to shut those off, no matter how hard it is. Don't come to me and say, oh, but my credit rating is going to go down. Yes, your credit rating with experience is going to go down, but your credit rating with Allah is going to go up. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what the objective of this life is. Don't worry about having a house in this dunya. We're only here for a temporary period of time anyway. Worry about the house. It's just inshallah going to wait for you in Jannah when you're entered there, because inshallah you left off these sins and this haram and you decided to go for the halal alternative. With that said, may Allah bless you. If you said anything that's wrong or offensive or hurt anyone, are we sorry? I mean, if it hurt you for the right reasons, we're not sorry. If it hurt you and we were genuinely wrong, then we are sorry. With that said, we'll see you in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum. Before you leave, we just wanted to mention our solution to some of the problems that we mentioned in this podcast, and that's specifically if you're into buying property, but obviously you don't want to do it in a haram way, but you also don't have the capital to buy it up front with cash. There is a company here in the UAE called Ansar Properties. We know the brothers that run it very, very well. They're trusted brothers, alhamdulillah, and they have property contracts that you pay in installments that have zero interest, zero late payment fees. All the things that would make a conventional mortgage or even most Islamic mortgages haram is not present in there. If you're interested, you can contact the number in the description, inshallah, and speak to the brother and see what they can do for you. With that said, we'll see you on the next episode. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and comment down below. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.